All right, I'm gonna do a recap, guys. Me and Brian actually are gonna go do the recap today. So AMC was kind of the best trade that I did at the open. AMC was really selling off in the pre-market, and Brian mentioned that it sold off really hard at the open, and then it bounced back, with a strong 1 minute chart. Brian mentioned it for a potential bounce. I did go long, came back a little bit. I added more at 55, and then really nice pop above 57. I added also below the VWAP a little bit, popped up above 57. We were hoping to get a close above the VWAP to go up and to make more money on that, but unfortunately, really never closed the VWAP and then sold off, and I got to stop that at the break-even point. The issue here with this trade for me was that I just don't have a trade book on it. This is just Brian called it and I took that trade, and I don't know if it's a really good idea to keep doing that because I personally do not have a trade book on a weak stock below the VWAP for a long, just right at the open. Potentially during the, later in the open, you can actually take a double bottom, which we did. Brian and I both tried to take it. This is a double bottom reversal or a VWAP reversal that we mentioned. We did take that trade and it did work really well for some people, but at the open I don't have that trade. It's like shorting a very strong stock above the VWAP just right at the open. You can get a squeeze. But I took this trade and I made money on that just because Brian called it, and Brian has a different price action reading price strategy. But I'll accept this profit. But I do know that this is not a trade that I want to keep doing. I have to have a trade book on it, and that's what really this community is about: building an edge, building a trade book. This is not an edge. This was just luck that Brian called it in the chat room and I called it. But later we tried to catch a reversal. Both Brian and I tried to catch a reversal on that in the later at around 10 a.m. So we saw that there's a bounce at 53.32, which on the daily chart, if you look at it, it's the high of June 9th. We saw that they're really holding this around 53.75. I took a long on it. I got stopped out, smaller share size, and then it came back up. I added long at 54, popped up, sold, and I got stopped out. It really never made it. Brian took it one more time. Actually, Brian might not take it in the first time, but took it one, and then we actually got this move to the VWAP. I took it one more time, but I really didn't make it. I was done with my day, and I really got out with a bit of loss at break even. But it did pop exactly to the VWAP. It did even do this lightning bolt pattern that Peter has, the trade book that he teaches. He did that. That was for me. Brian, did you? How was your trades on AMC? You took this reversal. What else did you?
Yeah, I took it short at the like you were talking about. Pretty much what you recapped there.
Yeah, so you shorted.
Yeah, we had a short at the open.
Yeah. Brian, you did a really nice short on that.
And then the only other, and then we did the trades with
APRE.
with ALF. And,
ELF was that. So ELF was interesting. Someone mentioned in the chat, popped up. ELF was active yesterday in the chat. It was really active, 200 million shares yesterday, and then it wasn't really active this morning. And then someone mentioned that is getting activity. It popped up with 1 million shares volume. It got halted. After the halt, it kept the volume on the pullback. I jumped in at 720, sold all the way up to 840, and then it got halted again for 5 minutes. After the halt, I added more and sold a little bit at 850, and eventually I got out at 8. So it was a small share size, like 2,000 shares or something. But it was a really decent trade on that. And then what you'd want to do is you want to get, it's okay if you get halt in the way up, because usually it opens higher. But 2 halts are really enough. This one, first one and the second one, you really don't want to get stuck into the second halt. So that was it. Did you trade also ALF, Brian?
Yeah, I traded ALF, and I just did a trade on ASTS, which was came off the scanner. Yeah, hit the scanner. So got a trade on that one through a whole number.
Then we did APRE at the open. Again, I did the same mistake that I always say that I shouldn't do, but I do. So it was really choppy. Although it had a really good volume, it was really choppy. I jumped in a little bit too early in the first minute. It really didn't made it for a 1 minute open range breakout. Got stopped out, came back up. This was a really nice 1 minute open range breakout, and I made most of my money from 730 all the way to 760. I added and then I got stopped out. Came back up. I went long again one more time. Sold, added, and eventually I got stopped out. So that's one trade, and that was the second trade, and then there was one trade that I jumped into early and I got stopped out. I also did a pre-market trade on that as well, which worked. So in the pre-market, I went down 688, popped up 730, then got stopped out on it. And that was it pretty much for me. So I'm holding some TNA and TQQ for the Fed's meeting at the 2 p.m. There's one of the important Fed's meeting that talk about interest rate and inflation and economy. So I don't want to have a lot of exposure into the market. I have some exposure to the market, but something interesting happened that this TQQ wasn't in this morning, and then I noticed that after half an hour I got a TQQ here in my position. I don't know where it came from, so I clicked on that. There was no entry or something in this, but I noticed that it was because apparently DAS and IB were not synced yesterday. And it was just for some reason I still had this position. What I did was check my IB, and yeah, I still had that. So it's really good. It's a good idea to have IB. Check your account daily, or when you're finished trading. It's just a quick browser check, or if you have the trader's workstation, just in case that if something happens. In the last 7-8 years, really, it never happened to me like that. But at least, it's just it's good to know. To have that. All right, so that's it. Brian, anything from you?
No, I think we've covered it. I think we're going to have to get. I think we're going to have to get Courtney on to do some kind of a webinar or something. She's talking about using Fibonacci levels and stuff. So maybe we can talk her into doing something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Why not? So
seems to have her own.
Today we do have. I think Dr. Katz today is the Dr. Katz webinar on a psychology. No, it's Neda, and then next week we have Dr. Katz. So my Dr. So this is what we're having today. If you have any question, guys, let us know. Comment in the YouTube, and we appreciate a like or subscribe because we want to really grow this channel, and I think we deserve. A little bit of more love from members if you really enjoy that. So a like or comment, we really appreciate that. It gets us actually excited and motivated to produce more material. Yeah, that's it. Well, we're gonna head into the Peak Capital mentorship session, and see you tonight in Neda's webinar, guys. Cheers.